I've done a few talks on Mother's Day over the years, so I won't do too much on it because the title is supposed to be Unfoldment, Trusting the Process. And there's a bit involved with that. So what I'm going to do is just explain what unfoldment is. It means to open or spread out from a folded position, a map or a guidebook, all that sort of thing. And number two is unfolding of events that gradually develop to be revealed. Now, at primary school in the 50s, yes, I said in the 50s, we were all taken to see a film, and it was great because we went down to the town hall and it was during school time to see a film. Then we got the afternoon off after it. But it was a magical film. It was called The Living Desert. I don't know if anyone remembers it, but just before, it was a Walt Disney film, and just before they got clever with all the different technology and things like that, the living desert, you'd see a little bulb of a cactus, and then you'd see it come to life straight away. Then you'd see other trees and things in the desert all come to life through speed photography. Now, it's not always that quick, is it, that we notice these things? But many of us have looked out and seen a full-blown flower and wonder how that could happen from a very tiny seed or lifeless bulb. But with the camera speeding it up, we could see the process, the many changes taking place. And we've come to accept that the complete pattern of ourselves is implanted within the dormant seed or bulb. And given the right circumstances, that impulse for growth will bring it forth to full bloom. The whole thing will come to life. Some people say we're perfect. Well, yes, we're born perfect. God made us the perfect seed. It did not make us the perfect tree, but the perfect seed. It did not make us as we might become, but what we might have been rather. It did not make us as we might have been, but what we might become. And we all know the parable of the sower. Where that seed is planted is amazing, isn't it? If it grows on good soil, we've got a good chance. But if it falls on the rocks or the wayside, well, that's a very sad sort of thing to happen. But that parable explains it well and truly, especially the metaphysical interpretation of it, as we've seen. Now, as we process through the stages of childhood, teens, middle age, and adulthood, or as some say, infancy, childhood, adolescent, and adulthood, we learn and change, yet that change is not obvious. Later, there is something inside us that observes these changes. And if we can accept it and look at our behavior and make adjustments if we are wise, life is easier. I don't know about you, but when I was young, like those children singing today, life was wonderful. But there comes a time when it stops. And I've noticed that. You look in the window sometimes and you see your reflection and think, who is that? And you look at the tummy and a few other things, my God, that's me. But I've got to the stage where I don't care. I've had a wonderful life so far, so good, and looking forward to the rest of it at this stage. But of course, you can't do what you once did when you were young. And it's wise to change. And we know that verse from St. Paul. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, and I reasoned as a child. Because there's nothing worse than seeing people that don't know how to change and they're out of place in society. I know we had this chap I used to know, he used to think he was pretty groovy. He was in his 40s and mixed with teenagers, and it just wasn't on, really. His girlfriend had to tell him that, give it away. Just realize who you are, where you are, and get on with life. The rest of that verse says, when I became a man, I put away childish things, for now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part that I shall understand fully, even as I have been fully understood. In other words, hindsight is a wonderful thing. St. Paul also wrote, we have a physical body out of which is sown the spiritual body. Some call this the pearl of great price, the Holy Grail, the dream time, that part of us which is eternal. And I've been thinking about that a lot, Yogananda says that the human body is the doorway to divinity. I've said that a couple of times because it intrigues me. And you think, well, you've got a lifetime to do it. And I don't know whether we can do it in one lifetime. I'm sure it can be done, but we have to eventually get to a stage where we go within and know, even though we change, the physical body may change, but life goes on. Our soul is continually evolving. Now, in mainstream churches, the liturgical calendar of the year is set out in what they call a lectionary. I think I talked about the other day. And we follow the revered seasons like Christmas and Advent, Easter and Lent. And during these particular seasons, we aim to make an effort to try and be holy through prayer and fasting, but of course not the old-fashioned way. We use affirmations and denials and things like that. But I was intrigued in this lectionary. There was a time they called an ordinary Sunday, ordinary time. Well, to me, there's nothing ordinary about any time. It's all time. Nothing special about Christmas or Easter. It's a man-made dogma. No time is more holier than another. Now is the most precious time on earth. In Exodus, put off thy shoes. The place you are standing is holy ground. And so it is with our spiritual unfoldment. We are always in the right place at the right time, right here and now. And when Jesus was told off by some of the rabbis because he was doing something, healing on a Sunday or on the Sabbath day, whatever day that was, and they said, you can't do that. And he said, every day is a holy day, words to that effect. So a modern day prophet, John Lennon. Life is what happens to us when we are busy making other plans. And isn't that so? That's why I'm looking forward to hearing how it all goes today with some people. We've had a few apologies, Beverly Sheehan and also Leslie and a couple of others. They've got big things happening for Mother's Day because I've got big families. So they've made plans for today. But often things occur that we haven't had time to plan for, but we realise that they were part of our life as well. Now, there are many songs written about time, and you've heard some of them here. Time After Time, Twilight Time, Till the End of Time, I'll Be With You in Apple Blossom Time. And of course, my favourite, the big one from Casablanca, As Time Goes By. So, how would we describe time? From the Revealing Word, Charles Fillmore writes, time is the measure that we give to passing events. A day is a measure of time in the realm of effects, end of quote. Now, time seems to slow down when we're young. I know that most of us here believe that we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience, but as we get older and move through the stages of mankind, we become aware of our physical mortality and time seems to get quicker. I know at school holidays, we used to think how quick it would go. How quick. But sometimes a day can be a long time if there are problems and worries. And I've known many people I've talked to where we've had to calm them down and just give them something to read and pray with them and talk with them. It's sad to be in that situation, especially when, we've got our unity principles. And so I've had a couple of people over the last few weeks I've had to read these out to and make sure they sit down and try them. Thank goodness for our unity teachings, because we know that this physical life eventually will leave us and we'll have that soul journey to continue with. There's a very, very comforting verse in the Bible. I'm not going to read all of it, but I don't know, it just echoes with me. I think it's in Mark 14, 1-3, Jesus is quoted as saying, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. So I go to prepare a place for you." In the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, Jesus is referred to as the I in mankind, the self, the I am in each of us. Our soul has been preparing the way for us forward at all times. We are an expression of God, and God wants to express more and more and more of itself. The Persian mystic Rumi, "I died as a mineral and became a plant. I died as a plant and rose to animal. I died as an animal and I was a man. Why should I fear? When was I less than dying?" So, our body changes, and these changes are gradual. What I feel at 79 is not what I felt at 70, as some of you here know, and we've all whinged about it. But life goes on from a different perspective, hopefully a wiser and wider perspective. So it's part of our soul's evolution, and we have to have faith in this. We're here to express more and more of our Creator. We can be upset as we get older, as we realize our mortality, but armed with our spiritual conviction, we carry on and trust the experience of unfoldment. It's all about unfolding into a more expansive expression of creation. And so it is. So there's a little bit of wisdom for us today. And before we have our next song, I found some notes from a previous talk about mothers. Some famous mothers, you may know more. Mother Teresa, Mother Mira, the Queen Mum, and that famous photo of the Queen Mum when she was in Australia. She was taken to a local pub, she poured a beer and she's there drinking it. She won hearts with that one. When we were young, we heard of Mother Goose, Mother Hubbard, and in the Catholic tradition, Mother Mary. And it's interesting to know that Mary was pronounced the Mother of God officially by the Council of Ephesus in 431. So there. And we know that sort of all through life, we'll always remember our mothers. So Mother's Day was trademarked. It was trademarked by a lady called Anna Jarvis in 1912. And she was very good with this. She was very happy. She wanted everyone to have a day of quiet and thoughtful meditation on motherhood and the role it plays. But of course, all of a sudden it became a big do, and we're cards and gifts and people were celebrating and all that sort of stuff. She got upset. So she went out with her banner to ban it. And she finished up in jail. She was quite a strong woman, Anna Jarvis. So everyone wanted to get into the act, she said, but that wasn't the spirit of what motherhood was, Mother's Day. That was in 1912 that it was started. So the tradition continues. I'm happy with how it goes now. I enjoyed my time yesterday with Reverend Sylvia, and I'll have my memories of my mother as you will of yours. So let's just enjoy that. And here's a song to help us remember by those wonderful, wonderful people. It was written by the Beatles in my life.